someone feeds you the price, well, you're not going to have much opportunity to have a bid-ask market, a middle market. You know, it's going to start to become very dominating. You'll become the slave of De Beers. I don't know if the Indians or the American retailers are the new blacks of De Beers. I don't know. But all I can tell you is, if you've got De Beers on one side with rough pricing, and there's other suppliers, over there only 43% of the market, only 43%. And then you got, I don't know, Signet or Walmart or someone on the other side of the equation. You're standing between these two hard rocks. Profits are going to be very limited. You'll work as long as it pays for you to service them, as long as the retailers are useful and selling the percentage of consumers that prefer to buy by going into a store. But it wouldn't blow me away if Forever Mark opened up their own stores right across from the retail shop. Wouldn't surprise me. And again, it's not necessarily evil, it's just the way of the world. Don't be naive. So we need to find ways to make our products special. I'm going to look for support for United States Department of Justice antitrust investigation of De Beers to force them to allow clients to disclose the source of their diamonds. I will not allow this to continue to the best of my ability. And I call upon people here who are also engaged, or they would say seized by this issue, to come and talk to me and talk to us. Look, the Rapaport Group's a business. We're not in the legal business. I don't want to have to do this. But I believe that the future of our industry requires transparency about where rough diamonds come from. And I will do my best to battle those with every legal device capable. And I think the Department of Justice should look at this issue. Because in fact, if Rapaport tomorrow wants to give little green stars to diamonds coming from legitimate sources, 43% of those diamonds are now taken away from our ability to differentiate good diamonds from, let's call it, unknown diamonds. Not acceptable. If De Beers uses their market power to disturb freely competitive diamond markets, as in, this is how we distribute it, you have to buy it this way, and their brands, competitive diamond markets and brands, their brands, De Beers and their brands, should be excluded from the United States and other markets. So I don't believe De Beers has an inalienable right to operate in the United States of America if they're not providing, if they're working in an opaque, non-transparent manner regarding 43% of the world's diamonds. I think they should be kicked out. So it's tough. What can I tell you? I'm honestly, I don't know what to do about the $2 billion out of Dubai. I don't know what to do about the extra $3.1 billion. I don't know what to do about the fact that there's no AML or CTF in India. All these things we have on me, so I say I can't fight the evil. But let us at least create good. Let us, if we can't fight evil, let us say, okay, I can't stop diamond smuggling, I can't stop, I don't know, Dubai, but let me at least identify the good diamonds so that people have an incentive to go on the good path. And then maybe there'll be a higher price for diamonds with a green star. Maybe people are consumers and jewelers and are ethical in their business and they really want to do the right thing. To stop that, to stop the good part from happening. That's the mother of evil. That's really got me burnt up here. So we must recognize that dirty diamonds are part of our industry. And big organizations like De Beers will use that to push us, middle people, out of the business. It's a great device. Our diamonds are kosher, everybody else I don't know, so you better buy from us. And you better buy from our designated retailers. You better buy from our Forever Mark brand. You better buy from our De Beers stores. Because the other stuff, you don't know what it is, because we haven't allowed anyone to know about these things. It's very subtle. A lot of people miss it. Small and medium-sized stores cannot rely on De Beers and other big organizations to ensure their survival and credibility. There's riches in the niches, guys. You're a retailer today. Think carefully about how you can use supply, how you can use buying, how you can use a trip to India. Come to India, please. Come to India. We're going to Surat. I'm going to Surat on the 10th of July. I'm going in August. We have office, 90 people there. Come to India. Come to Sierra Leone. Come and see and think and be engaged with the supply side of your business as much as you are on the selling side. How you buy, I'm telling you, my friends, that's where the money will be. And not just money, it's going to be survival. The U.S. buys 50% of the world's diamond jewelry. That's $41 billion. We are the biggest, the most important. You have no power over suppliers. They come in here, New York diamond industry has been ruined. It's been, I don't know how to describe it, outrageous. Our diamond industry in New York is, we used to have 2,000 companies. You can't stop the clock. If cutting is cheaper in India, India should cut the diamonds, not even a question. But as dealers, as middle marketers, as wholesalers, we've been decimated. So we're not fighting for our existence. And if we keep laying down like this, we're not going to be around for much longer. U.S. trade organizations are not using our purchasing power to ensure a level playing field for us in America. I'm wearing my American flag because there's many ways to see the diamond industry, and I see it from an American perspective. And why shouldn't I? 51% of the diamonds, after all, I'm up here, and I'm an American. So yeah, I'm an American, and I'm going to look from the American perspective. So what is going on in this? I mean, example, and again, I'm not against India. I want us to love Indians. I want us to support the Indian community. I want us to bring them closer. I want us to be one. But why is it that they charge us 32% for jewelry or 31%, and we charge 5.5%? Why is it they just double the import fee of diamonds? Okay, there's World Trade Organization, garbage, but if you want to really understand tariff issues, you should read our article about Trump trade policy. But these kinds of, if we had people that were representing the United States industry correctly, we would not be in such a position where we are treated like, not even like garbage. We would have to have respect for us because we're the buyers. But the buyers in this industry are nobodies. We're segmented out, we're chopped up, and we're not, our power as buyers totally not there. And you can see that in the largest import to the United States is India with $4 billion, followed by Israel. But again, 90% of the diamonds are cut in India. So we have relations with India, we have relations with Israel. We should fan out as retailers, as Americans, and we should go to these countries, and we should visit these. If you don't buy diamonds, don't buy diamonds. Come to Surat, don't buy diamonds. Just meet people. Come to Sierra Leone. Get an angle, get an understanding, get a feeling, get a relationship. Go beyond the product to the people behind the product. It's all about relationships. We have to learn Indian supporters. They're good people, these Indian guys, I'm telling you. But they're just under the pressure of the bears as much as we are. Just be honest. They're squeezed too. So they're jumping into our market because they're squeezed there. So the mining guys are squeezing. How are you going to make money? Rough is so expensive. You start going downstream. You start squeezing the wholesalers. You start opening up the offices here. You start pushing out the retailers. So our whole industry is now being pushed and squeezed and confronted by all this stuff. And then underneath it all lies this $2 billion from Dubai, $3.1 billion extra floating around. I mean, it's not a healthy situation, to put it mildly. So what's our solution? Oh boy, we gotta hurry up here. Retailers go to rough, go to polish. Retail, wake up. Retail, think about your market power. It's time for diamond cutters, dealers, and retailers to practically source their diamonds, visiting places, transcend the product to the people behind them. Transcend the product to the people. Survival of the diamond industry means creating a mutually beneficial relationship with your suppliers. Really get to know your suppliers. I'll be traveling to Surat. I'll be traveling to July 10th, early August. A team will be going to Sierra Leone again. I really invite you all to do that. I'd like to talk about the blockchain briefly and bring up to the stage, as a matter of fact, some really good people. Before that, I'll show a brief video, and we're running a little bit. Hopefully, we won't be late. So the blockchain can be a good tool for good people. It can be a bad tool for bad people. As it helps us maintain, share, and securitize information, the blockchain can be a new greenwashing opportunity similar to the Kimberley process, as in garbage in and garbage out. So, in these blockchains, are we going to have Zimbabwean diamonds in there, even though they're on the OFAC list? Are we going to have diamonds that are bribed and all this other crap that we see? Is that going to be part of the blockchain because we love everybody, big umbrella? So it's garbage. It's like the KP. Let us consider how blockchain can be used to support an ethical, transparent, competitive, and efficient market. Those are the Rapaport values. Ethical, transparent, competitive, and efficient market for college diamonds. So what we will do is we will play a brief video, and I will ask in the meantime for Leanne Kemp, Mark Hanna, so please come up to get mic'd up. Are they mic'd up yet? Hopefully they're mic'd up. Let's see if they're not mic'd up, get them mic'd up. And come up on the, start ready to come up on the stage. You have about 2 minutes to do so as I play this interesting, hopefully, video. Boom. Oh, you need a mic, trust me. It's a big room. Will we get this thing to work? Oh, okay. Video, guys?
To you a diamond engagement ring. You probably think about two people getting married and living their lives together and their beautiful love story. You also may be thinking about blood diamonds and child labor and mining working conditions that somebody had to go through to build that piece of jewelry. And I bet you probably don't think about blockchain. While there have been several advancements in this space, especially with the Kimberley process, there is still lack of trust and transparency, and especially for the consumers and the new generation of millennials who are asking for the provenance information when they buy their jewelry. You want to make sure it's been sourced ethically, it went through all the approvals and all the audits that they're expected to go through, and it's going to last them forever. While blockchain technology has capabilities that could help both sides, right? It could help tell you a beautiful story of a piece of jewelry coming together through all the stages of the process. It can also provide that provenance information to the consumers that shows that the gold and the diamond has been mined and manufactured ethically when it came together in that final piece of jewelry. I'm very excited to share with you this new collaboration that IBM is starting with other leading industry providers in the jewelry space. It's called Trust Chain. And the unique proposition of Trust Chain is that it's focused on the entire piece of jewelry. So it really is focused on you as consumers to bring trust, transparency to you, underpinned by blockchain. The entire solution spans through the entire supply chain, from mine to manufacturer, to retailer, and auditor, so that you can see the entire journey of the piece of jewelry that you're buying all the way through. Blockchain is uniquely positioned to provide a level of trust and transparency that jewelry consumers are asking for. And I really look forward to grow and develop this collaboration so that it becomes the industry standard going forward. I'm Catherine Malkova, Strategy Labs leader in GBS, North America, IBM.
Okay, so we have an interesting story here about the blockchain. So I think everyone's excited about blockchain because I think in and of it by itself, it can ensure legitimacy in the diamond industry. So in fact, we'll start with Leanna. Right? So what is it true that the blockchain is this magical thing that's going to solve all the problems of all the blood diamonds?
Well, can everyone hear me? Great. Well, when I was young, I believed in unicorns as well, so I guess that mythical creature is a parallel to what we're unfortunately pronouncing globally. But no, blockchain as a solution is really next generation internet technology. So just as we've seen the internet was born in the late 80s and early 90s, this technology enables the internet, or a digital transformation effort, to transfer value between two people. So whether that value is constructed as money or whether it's constructed as an item, it's next generation internet technology. So it's not necessarily a mythical creature, but it certainly sometimes has taken the form of it will solve everything. It won't.
Mark, you have successfully done an amazing thing going and incorporating both like gold, all the features of what goes on to actually make a piece of jewelry which is credibly identified as being legitimate. Is that correct?
That's our effort, yes sir.
Is it actually happening?
We did one test. We moved gold from, I'll tell you where, we moved gold from Warwick Mine in South Dakota to Asahi Refining in Salt Lake City, to Leach Garner for fabrication and casting grain in Massachusetts. We moved that to Mumbai, where the ring was made. On the other side, the diamonds supplied by Rio Tinto for the proof of concept moved from Diavik to Antwerp for cutting to the same factory in Mumbai. There, we put it all together. We had a finished engagement ring, 1 carat, 3 or 4 different styles. We moved that to our distribution center. We moved it to Helzberg Jewelers. Along the way, and you hit a couple of great points earlier, along the way, we did have third-party verification. We had UL at every single step along that way, verify sealed envelopes in, sealed envelopes out, weights of gold, movement of diamonds, all the way through the distribution center and all the way through to Helzberg. So is that scalable? That's tough. But is that the right way? I think you made the point before. If we can figure out where things came from, and we can tell people where things came from, and we can verify that there's no garbage in, garbage out, I think we're on the right track. Are we there? No, it's a long ways to go.
So the idea is to have a chain of custody for all the materials. First of all, you'd have to know that the material is legitimate to begin with. Okay?
Oh.
Now, if you have legitimate raw materials, it could be gold, diamonds, or manufacturing also. A factory could have slave labor or something out there. So if you have all of the different pieces legitimized as they sit, then what you can do is you can have a chain of custody that helps you combine all of those things into a finished product that would then be deemed certifiably legitimate, or knowing that this ring came from all of these components. And the blockchain would play an important role in being able to authenticate that process.
Yeah, the blockchain is really the documentation to all that. And listen, it's not just a big new database. We did something similar from 2006 with Walmart and some other people called String. Basically, it's the same thing. Documentation. We'd input the paperwork through String. We'd have a complete chain of custody. This is different. And it's different because in the first example, all that input was us. Right? So I had to be a very trusted source on that because it was all our input. Now, every member of that chain I just mentioned has complete accessibility and transparency to everything that happened all the way through that chain, from the mines all the way through the retailer. So Helzberg has it on one end, the mine has it on the other, everything that happened in between. So for us to not put in correct data, for us to want to change that, it's something to our advantage. All 8 members of that consortium will have to see it, agree to it, and feel it's a correct thing.
You're talking about a democratized, team-based supply chain authentication system. Would that be a fair way to put it?
Yeah, I think any of you that read a lot about blockchain, you hear Bitcoin, you hear all kinds of Ethereum, all kinds of things, but we're a private permissioned network. We're not a totally open source to the entire consumer. They get to vote on it network. We're a private permission network for all the good reasons you can imagine. But we're also creating a transparent layer for the consumer. And that transparent layer is going to be something that will make, sort of lay bare that entire chain of custody. Where did I come from? We're at the stage now where we're working on consumer interfaces, the user interfaces. We're in a research stage. We've developed them. We're getting consumer research on, is it enough? Is it too much? Do we explain it the right way? We also have 2 graduate programs, one at Wharton and one at Bryant University in Rhode Island, working on the same sort of X-factor information to see whether we're doing the right thing.
So Leon, what's with this private, public? I mean, if we talk about the blockchain, for example, it's hard for me to believe that anyone who supplies a diamond to someone wants that someone to see who his suppliers were. Because that's the trade secrecy. Do you think I want everyone to see who my supplier is? So how does this work? Private, public, secret, not, open, closed? I don't understand this. Could you explain it, please?
So I've been a software engineer for the better part of 25 years, and whilst blockchain is a new word that's, of course, on the headlines of most printed articles, it's a combination of relatively old and mature sets of technology. So to understand what blockchain is, there is a layer of database technology. Instead of storing the data centrally, we store it in a distributed form. So members that are connected to the chain would have a table or a chain of data that would then be synchronized with the other members within the network. But it can't just stop there, because the reality is we then need to put a layer together of understanding the rules of participation, or consensus, which is another layer of the blockchain. How will participants enable themselves to provide an opinion or an authentication layer of truth? Now, in a public chain, which is what some people have been working on, enables the ability in a public chain for anybody actually within this audience to participate on validating data within that chain. And they are validating that data by way of your computer mining certain types of algorithms to participate. So it's not necessarily based on understanding the truth of the contribution, it's just the effort to agree to the contribution. So all hands rise, therefore I am rewarded for participating across that democracy. In a private chain, it's a little bit different. So it's not necessarily rewarded on the computing power effort that you contribute, it's rewarded upon your ability to say, I am here to witness this as being truth, and I'm actually giving endorsement to that truth. And the third layer of the technology, which is quite important, is called cryptography. So that's not old. Cryptography, of course, was a very important part that ended up cracking parts of the code in World War II. So we see big companies like the Turing Institute enable that. Now, it's the combination of these three things together that give us the ability to provide a transaction trail of data to transfer things, objects, value between two people.